Saruman the White, once revered and trusted, stood as the primary rival of Sauron in Middle-earth. He was the leader of the White Council, the head of the Istari, and considered by many to be the best hope for triumph over the looming shadow of Mordor. However, darkness gradually crept into his heart. As his loyalty shifted, this change went largely unnoticed by most. Yet, there was one who foresaw Saruman's decline. Who was this enigmatic figure, and why were his warnings ignored by the wise? Let us uncover the whispers of doubt, the quiet admonitions overlooked, and discover the moment when Saruman's treachery first began to reveal itself through the identity of the one who knew. 4 years, Saruman remained in the east alongside the two elusive blue wizards. Here, he studied Sauron's methods. Meanwhile, Gandalf and Radagast stood firm in the west, vigilant and watchful over the lands they had come to cherish. Gandalf forged friendships with men, elves, dwarves, and hobbits, while Radagast tended to the creatures of the wild. Saruman, however, dedicated himself to confronting Sauron more directly. In the secretive expanses of the East, he delved deeply into the Dark Lord's devices, consumed by a thirst for knowledge that he believed could one day be used to challenge Sauron. It was around the year 2463 of the Third Age when Saruman finally re-emerged from the East. His return coincided with the waning of a troubled peace, as a growing darkness once again stirred in the heart of Mirkwood, spreading its twisted tendrils like a malevolent force long denied. Thus, Saruman's timing may have been deliberate. With Sauron's return, the One Ring would surely seek to return to its master, revealing itself as it abandoned or betrayed its current bearer. In response to this encroaching shadow, the White Council was formed, a powerful assembly of wisdom and strength. This council stood as a bastion against the rising tide of evil, its members united by a common purpose to resist the impending storm. At its helm was Saruman, whose knowledge of the Dark Lord made him a natural leader of this gathering. Ever watchful was Mithrandir, who most doubted the darkness in Mirkwood. He ventured to Dol Guldur, only to find that the sorcerer had evaded him, and a cautious peace reigned for many years. However, the shadow eventually returned, its power growing. It was during this time that the Council of the Wise, known as the White Council, was first formed, which included Elrond, Galadriel, Círdan, and other masters of the Eldar, along with Mithrandir and Curuna. Curuna, who was Saruman the White, was chosen as their leader, for he had studied the devices of Sauron extensively. In the year 2759, Saruman the White turned his calculating gaze toward the realm of Rohan. His mission was one of particular intent, for to the northwest of Rohan lay the ancient fortress of Isengard, now standing empty. For 50 years, this stronghold had languished in the hands of the Dunlendings. Yet, during the reign of King Helm Hammerhand, the Dunlendings faced immense challenges. They were caught in the relentless storm of battle with Rohan and the harsh grip of the long winter. Consequently, their strength faltered, and they were ultimately driven from Isengard by Helm's nephew, Freelaf, who would soon be crowned the next king of Rohan. Seizing this opportunity, Saruman sought to hold the fortress as an ally to the realms of men. In Gundor's steward and Rohan's leaders, he found men who, like many, still revered his reputation as a steadfast champion of wisdom and virtue. Neither suspected the shadow lurking within his mind. They saw only an ally, a steadfast guardian of the free peoples, and thus willingly entrusted the stewardship of this crucial stronghold to Saruman. Isengard held significant strategic value. To hand it over was an act of trust, a gesture that spoke volumes about their unwavering faith in Saruman's loyalty. Had even a whisper of doubt lingered in their hearts, Orthanc would never have been surrendered to him. Thus, Saruman began to act as a master of men. Initially, he held Isengard as a lieutenant to the steward and overseer of the tower. Freelaf was pleased, believing Isengard was in the hands of a strong ally, a friend he had long desired, and perhaps at first, he truly was. However, It soon became clear to men that Saruman had come to Isengard with the ambition to discover the One Ring and build his own power. As Gandalf moved against the shadow lurking in Dol Guldur, shockwaves rippled through the delicate web Saruman had woven, forcing him into a precarious dance where his carefully concealed desires teetered on the brink of revelation. In the year 2850, Gandalf confronted the shadowy halls of Dol Guldur alone for the second time. Within its grim depths resided a sinister presence that could not be mistaken. Sauron had returned. Gandalf brought his grave news to the White Council, urging immediate action against the encroaching darkness. Yet, Saruman's influential voice coiled through the chamber like a serpent. His words, shrewd and commanding, stifled the urgency in the hearts of those gathered, silencing the call to arms. This fateful meeting likely sparked the first flickers of Gandalf's unease toward Saruman. In Unfinished Tales, Christopher Tolkien delves deeper into this shadow of doubt, shedding light on the potential fractures forming in Gandalf's trust. The entry for 2851 in the Annals of the Kings mentions the gathering of the White Council that year, where Gandalf advocated for an assault on Dol Guldur, only to be overruled by Saruman. The passage reads, "It subsequently became clear that Saruman had begun to desire the One Ring for himself, and believed it would reveal itself, seeking its master if Sauron were left alone for a time." The choice of "for a time" in this statement casts a veil of ambiguity over the timing of this revelation. Did the Council, even in the immediate aftermath of this pivotal meeting, begin to sense the treachery brewing in Saruman's heart? Or was the truth unveiled much later, long after deeds were done and trust had been irrevocably betrayed? It seems more likely that the truth remained hidden for a long time. Consider Gandalf's account at the Council of Elrond. There, he recounted his imprisonment atop Orthanc. In his own words, there is no hint of prior doubt, no indication that he had sensed the shift in Saruman's intentions. "Who told you, and who sent you?" I asked. "Saruman the White," Radagast replied. "He advised me to say that if you wish, he will help, but you must seek his counsel at once, or it will be too late." This message brought me hope. For Saruman the White is the greatest of my order. Saruman has long studied the arts of the enemy himself, and thus we have often been able to thwart him. It was by Saruman's devices that we drove him from Dol Guldur. Perhaps he had discovered some weapons that could repel the Nine. "I will go to Saruman," I said. In the same passage, Gandalf returns to recount his experience with Radagast, confirming that at that moment, no shadow of doubt clouded his faith in the White Wizard. He stated that Radagast's message, delivered with genuine concern and urgency, felt sincere. Thus, Gandalf trusted the words, the messenger, and most perilously, the one who sent the message. At first I feared, as Saruman no doubt expected, that Radagast had also fallen. However, I misunderstood entirely. I sensed nothing amiss in his voice or in his eye during our meeting. Had I done so, I would never have gone to Isengard, or I would have approached with much greater caution. Gandalf reveals here that, had the slightest shadow of doubt crossed his mind, he would have tread with far greater vigilance, affirming that until his imprisonment, Gandalf harbored no suspicions towards Saruman whatsoever. 12 more years would pass before the final gathering of the White Council occurred. During this time, Saruman's mind would darken further. Tolkien gives us a brief glimpse into the inner workings of the White Wizard's psyche, raising concerns about his shadowed intentions. Certainly after the last White Council, 2953, his plans regarding Rohan, though concealed, were malevolent. He then took Isengard for himself and began to transform it into a stronghold of fear and power, rivaling Barad-dûr. Saruman had now sunk so deeply into shadow that his thoughts had turned to malice. His ambitions extended far beyond the mere desire for Sauron's ring. He now harbored hostility toward the people of Rohan. Yet, his true plans remained hidden and unchallenged. However, even the most cunning deceiver cannot evade detection forever. Soon, a figure would emerge, whose gaze would pierce through the fog. In 2952, Aragorn learned of his true identity as the rightful heir of Isildur. Soon after, he would embrace his destiny as he stepped into his rightful role as the 16th chieftain of the Dunedain. Between the years 2957 and 2980 of the Third Age, Aragorn would steadfastly defend the West against the shadow of Sauron and his allies in any way that he could. In these long years, yearning to shroud his true identity, Aragorn donned a number of aliases and earned acclaim under these mysterious names. Draped in a cloak adorned with a silver star, he moved with a swiftness and possessed a sharp vision, akin to that of an eagle. Hence, the name Thorongil emerged, which, in the ancient tongue of Sindarin, translates to Eagle of the Star. As Thorongil, he first served under King Thengel of Rohan, the father of King Theoden. Then, his path led him to serve the steward Ecthelion, II of Gondor, who, besieged by the encroaching darkness of Mordor, desperately sought stalwart men to safeguard the realm. Thorongil also rose to greatness in the midst of battle, mastering the ways of both land and sea, a leader whose mere presence inspired awe and reverence. Through great deeds of valor and wisdom, Thorongil rose in the esteem of the steward of Gondor, his heroism casting a light upon the shadowed days of men. The steward, Ecthelion, found in him more than a mere champion, for Thorongil's mind was as sharp as the sword he bore, tempered with a heart unyielding in its loyalty to Gondor. And so Ecthelion took note when Thorongil cautioned Ecthelion against the white wizard, Saruman. To all others, Saruman's wisdom was a beacon, but Thorongil saw a fracture in the gleaming facade. Thorongil urged the steward to trust instead in Gandalf the Grey, a figure less adorned with grandeur but steadfast as the mountain stone. In Gandalf, Thorongil saw hope unclouded, a guide whose counsel might yet lead Gondor through the long night to come. Thorongil often warned Ecthelion not to put trust in Saruman the White in Isengard, but to welcome rather Gandalf the Grey. Thorongil had somehow pierced the veil, his faith firmly placed in the Grey Pilgrim, even when the world yet hailed the White Wizard as a savior. This counsel spoke not only to Thorongil's wisdom, but also to his courage in questioning what others dared not. It is remarkable that Aragorn could sense the shadow within the heart of the White Wizard this early on. Even the wisest of the White Council, who stood far nearer to Saruman in both counsel and confidence, failed to discern the subtle stirrings of his betrayal. Yet, Aragorn saw what others could not. It is important to note that, at that time, Saruman's descent into darkness was, as yet, less than a whisper on the wind. It would be at least a decade before he began secretly breeding his vile orc hybrids, a practice that did not begin until around 2990. And it was not until the year 3000 that Saruman dared to confront the forbidden power of the Palantir of Orthanc, his ambition tethered to its shimmering, treacherous gaze. And finally, in 3018, Saruman's mask finally fell. There, in Orthanc's shadowed tower, he laid bare his betrayal, declaring his treason openly. For Aragorn to have harbored distrust of Saruman for 50 years before the truth was exposed is extraordinary. So, how did he perceive Saruman's treason before all others? Perhaps it was his time in Rohan, serving under King Thengel, that offered him glimpses of Saruman's machinations. Yet we know so little of Aragorn's days in Rohan that any theories around this time in his life are unreliable. What we do understand more clearly is the depth of Aragorn's character, his rare ability to read the winding currents of time, his unyielding vigilance, and the quiet, resolute wisdom that marked him as a leader. It is in these qualities, rather than in hearsay, that the answer may lie. Aragorn's extraordinary heritage endows him with certain gifts, a legacy woven deep into his being, a reflection of ancient power and destiny. Among these gifts is his remarkable capacity to heal. When Faramir lay stricken by the insidious malady known as the Black Shadow, a sickness born of the Nazgul's dread, only Aragorn's touch could bring him back from the brink. Yet healing is not his only inheritance. The blood of his Dunedain ancestors bestows the gift of prophecy, a sight that stretches beyond the confines of time. Some years before his birth, Aragorn's grandmother Iverwen foretold that their grandchild would rise as a beacon of hope for their people, and Aragorn's grandfather, Duriel, foresaw the untimely fate of Aragorn's father. Similarly, Aragorn's mother, Gilrian, bore the same gift of foresight, and this mantle passed to her son. The tales of Middle-earth are studded with moments when Aragorn's prophetic insight pierced the veil of time. He foresaw Gandalf's peril in the shadowed halls of Moria, warning of the abyss that awaited. "I too once passed the Dimril Gate," said Aragorn quietly, "but though I also came out again, the memory is very evil. I do not wish to enter Moria a second time, and I don't wish to enter it even once," said Pippin. "Nor me," muttered Sam. "Of course not," said Gandalf. "Who would? But the question is, who will follow me if I lead you there?" "I will," said Gimli eagerly. "I will," said Aragorn heavily. "You followed my lead almost to disaster in the snow, and have said no word of blame. I will follow your lead now, if this last warning does not move you. It is not of the ring, nor of us others, that I am thinking now, but of you, Gandalf. And I say to you, if you pass the doors of Moria, beware." And on the eve of departing Helm's Deep with the Grey Company, he spoke to Eomer of their fateful reunion, a battlefield looming between them. And so at length Eomer and Aragorn met in the midst of the battle, and they leaned on their swords and looked on one another and were glad. "Thus we meet again, though all the hosts of Mordor lay between us," said Aragorn. "Did I not say so at the Hornburg?" "So you spoke," said Eomer, "but hope often deceives, and I knew not then that you were a foresight man. Yet twice blessed is help unlooked for, and never was a meeting of friends more joyful," and they clasped hand in hand. "Nor indeed more timely," said Eomer. "You come none too soon, my friend. Much loss and sorrow have befallen us. Then let us avenge it ere we speak of it," said Aragorn, and they rode back to battle together. Even in matters of the heart, Aragorn's gift held sway. When he confessed his love for Arwen to Elrond, a vision bloomed unbidden in his mind. He beheld the stark choice that would one day confront her, the eternal shores of the undying lands or the fleeting, mortal beauty of Middle-earth. In that moment, the weight of his destiny and the gravity of their love became achingly clear. "I see," said Aragorn, "that I have turned my eyes to a treasure no less dear than the treasure of Thingol that Beren once desired. Such is my fate." Then suddenly the foresight of his kindred came to him, and he said, "But lo, Master Elrond, the years of your abiding run short at last, and the choice must soon be laid on your children, to part either with you or with Middle-earth. These gifts, entwined with his bloodline, are not mere abilities but echoes of a timeless purpose. They bind Aragorn to the fates of those around him, a steward of healing, a harbinger of destiny, and a bearer of hope in a world fraught with shadows." So, as we can see, Aragorn's gift of foresight wove itself deeply into the heart of the tale, guiding him to truths veiled to all others. Thus, it is likely that his vision was able to offer him an insight into the future betrayal of the White Wizard, where all other understanding faltered. Saruman, ever cunning and deliberate, concealed his betrayal with masterful precision. Every step was measured, every lie shrouded in the semblance of virtue. The world saw him as a beacon, elevating him to lead the White Council, and granting him the stronghold of Orthanc. It could only have been through such rare and extraordinary foresight that Aragorn discerned the devil within the robes of the wizard. Yet, even his warning could not halt the White Wizard's rise. Slowly, the fortress of Isengard became a forge for conquest, and the dark harvest of his labor emerged in the form of the Uruk-hai. And in the year 3019, as Rohan burned Aragorn, the one man who foresaw Saruman's treachery, returned to witness his prophecy fulfilled. And so, Aragorn's blade came once more to the defense of Rohan. Thank you very much for tuning into Realms Unraveled. We would like to take this opportunity to light the beacons and call for aid. If you did enjoy this video, we would ask that you kindly click the like button below. Also, we would be very grateful if you would consider subscribing and clicking on the bell icon. And until next time, farewell, fellow explorers of Middle-earth.